We've got, he's a radio and television personality and award-winning author, Forgotten Hollywood, Forgotten History. Come on, here's Manny Pacheco. Is this your first book, and how did you enjoy writing it?
Well, it's my first book. It took me about 2 years to format it, and over 8 months in 2009 to write it. And yes, I'm a first-time author. By profession, I'm a radio and television personality in Southern California, and I've worked on KRLA and K-Big, and I've actually done some voiceover work for different various commercials. But yes, it's my first book.
The name of the book is Forgotten Hollywood, Forgotten History. It's about the stars of Hollywood, and what period of time does it span?
It's Hollywood's golden age, from the end of the silent era to the end of the studio era, which spans between 1927 and the 1960s. After the 1960s, a lot of the actors had a lot more freedom to pick the subjects and topics for their movies, and so movie, I think, changed then. But during the studio era, they picked a lot of American history and a lot of topics that were important and pertinent to the story of America, and I think that was a good choice for the studios.
And how did you decide which actors to put in the book?
Well, it would have been very easy for me to pick a book and write about John Wayne or Bette Davis or Katharine Hepburn, but that's been done over and over again. So what I decided to do was to write a book about the great character actors, the ones you see in hundreds of films, and you see their faces and you know who they are, but you can't come up with their names. You look at Claude Rains in Casablanca, he's Louis, but you don't know it's Claude Rains, you just know he's Louis. Or you look at Lionel Barrymore as Mr. Potter in It's a Wonderful Life, and you recognize him, but you just don't know his name. So I decided to pick those actors before the next generation comes.
Okay.
Of people who read and people who enjoy movies, and then forget them entirely.
Right.
So that's what I was trying to go for.
Okay, now one that really interested me was Lionel Barrymore. What can you tell me about Lionel?
Well, Lionel Barrymore was a great actor in his own right from the Barrymore tradition. Of course, he had a brother and sister, Ethel and John Barrymore. His parents were actors, and of course we all know Drew Barrymore. But Lionel Barrymore was one of the first winners of an Academy Award in 1931 for A Free Soul. What happened in 1938 is he developed extreme arthritis. And what he did was he decided that he was still going to perform his craft, first on crutches and then on in a wheelchair. And he made some great movies while still confined to a wheelchair. Films like It's a Wonderful Life, Key Largo, A Duel in the Sun, just fabulous, memorable performances that he performed his craft right from that wheelchair at a time when the President of the United States was hiding the fact that he was in a wheelchair because he was afraid he was not going to be re-elected for president, FDR. So what I think in this chapter, and what I contend, is that Lionel Barrymore was a pioneer against disability.
Yes, and we also had Van Heflin.
Yes, Van Heflin was a great character actor and star in his own right. Mostly, if you wanted a button-down suit type of individuals to perform in big movies in the 50s, you picked William Holden. But if you couldn't afford it because the budget wasn't right, you hired Van Heflin. Now, the exciting thing about Van Heflin is he made a movie in 1963 called Cry for Battle. It wasn't an important movie, really, and it's about a fictional campaign fighting during World War II. What's important about this movie is that it was the actual picture that was playing at the theater the day that Lee Harvey Oswald was shot President Kennedy. And to me, that has a lot of historical significance because a lot of people know about the Book Depository and Daily Plaza and the fact that Lee Harvey Oswald was shot by Jack Ruby. A lot of people also know that he was arrested in a movie theater, but very few people know the name of the movie that was playing when he was arrested.
One that was really interesting to me was Eddie Rochester Anderson.
African Americans during the Hollywood's golden era were sometimes stereotyped. And I chose not to choose actors that were stereotyped because I felt that that was very negative portrayal of a people or a group. And so what I did is I chose Eddie Rochester Anderson, who was on the Jack Benny program. And Jack Benny was very, very clear when he spoke with his writers. He was very adamant about the idea that under no circumstance was the character Rochester going to be the butt of jokes. As a matter of fact, he placed all the humor against him would be the actor himself, Jack Benny. And I thought that was a very courageous thing to do for a comedian. And as a matter of fact, Jack Benny liked to perform live in vaudeville, and he would travel from town to town. If Rochester or Eddie Anderson was not allowed to stay in a particular hotel or perform on a particular stage with Benny, he would not do it. He would not perform. And that, again, was a very courageous thing for Jack Benny to do, to show that there should be equality. And that was something even before.
What year was, when was that? Like in
this
the
was in the mid to late 40s.
Okay.
Throughout the 50s, absolutely. Right. And that's why it's called Forgotten Hollywood, Forgotten History, because I like to tell those historical perspectives that tie in with great Hollywood stories.
Do you have a favorite chapter in the book?
Yes, and I didn't plan on it being my favorite chapter. It's a chapter on Ward Bond. Ward Bond was in more pictures that won an Academy Award than any actor in history. Absolute history. Really? He also appeared in more John Ford films than any chapter in history. And he always appeared in gallant films. So he felt he was a very gallant figure. That said, when the House Un-American Activities Committee decided to pick on who might be communists within the Hollywood industry, Ward Bond, thinking he might be gallant, started naming names. And many times you see in movies or you see documentaries about the victims of the communist era. Very rarely do you actually have people who are the namer of names. And Ward Bond was one of those people, and he ended up becoming reviled by the Hollywood industry. Even though he was in great films and gallant films and always played gallant characters, he ended up being hated by the Hollywood community, and he died right before of a heart attack, right before Kennedy defeated Nixon in 1960. So he continues to be reviled, and I think it's kind of a sad story. I think he was used by the government, and I think it's time that we kind of revisit his story. And because of that, and because it's such a bittersweet story, it's my favorite chapter.
You got the foreword. It was done by Gary Lichen, everybody from the Orange County Register or something.
We are real proud about that. As a matter of fact, Gary Lichen is the radio columnist for the Orange County Register. He wrote my foreword. He's going to write the introduction of my next book, which will be Son of Forgotten Hollywood.
Manny, you've done it all. Besides being an author, you've also written articles for like Karaoke Scene magazine, but I was also impressed you've been a long-standing member of the Screen Actors Guild, right?
I appeared on an Emmy-nominated show called In Studio. I was also on NBC's Santa Barbara, so I've had a really, 30-year
You've done
career.
A lot of things, yeah. So where can you buy the book? Do you have a website?
www.forgottenhollywood.com.
Okay.
www.forgottenhollywood.
And is it also available like through Amazon or any of that kind of stuff?
It's available through Amazon. It's in 30 Southern California Borders stores, which I'm really proud of. Several stores, Barnes & Noble. It's at the historic Haley Center for Media in Beverly Hills. It's also in the Hollywood mega chain along Hollywood Boulevard. When you walk along Hollywood Boulevard across the street from the Kodak Theater and Grauman's Chinese Theater, there's the Hollywood Land Experience and Souvenirs of Hollywood. Well, my book is available at those stores also.
That's great. And it's something I also went like with the Academy History or something like that.
Yes, actually, my book can be found at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences Library, the Margaret Herrick Library. It can also be found at the Louis B. Mayer Library, which is in the American Film Institute. So I'm real proud that...
I'm proud because you know what? That's not that easy to get in.
No,
it is not. So how long have you been living in Orange County?
I've lived here since 1994. Even though I grew up in Los Angeles, I now live in Orange County, and I consider myself an Orange County.
Good. He's an Orange County resident. We love that.
I live in Cypress with my wife.
Cheers for that.
That's right. Cheers.
Orange County. Everybody, you got to get Forgotten Hollywood, Forgotten History. We know the website's www.forgottenhollywood.com. Until we meet again, I know you're working on the next book and all this other stuff. I'm really excited. Manny Pacheco. Hey, hey, hey.